Hi, I'm Anna Vanderwall and I'm going to install an Espar 2kW 7500 BTU unit called the D2L on Snow Goose, my Grand Banks 32 trawler. But other sizes are available from Heatso for much larger applications. If you have your larger sailboat or are looking to heat several cabins, then you can opt for 4kW or even 6kW Espar heater. Larger units can supply more heat and a ducting system can be designed with multiple outlets utilizing various accessories such as T and Y splits. One of the most popular models is the Espar D4R. This 4kW heater is a recreational variant of the standard D4L model with a specially designed blower fan that is capable of handling up to 70 feet of combined ductwork with up to 5 air outlets. The D6L is the largest unit they offer, a whopping 20,000 BTUs, ideal for situations where heating is in high demand. The guys at Heatso are very helpful and responsive. If you need help sizing up the heater and designing your ductwork layout, you can always get in touch with Heatso via phone or email. They will absolutely help you with every step during the installation, so you can count on their support. So let's begin the installation. I've decided to go with an Espar diesel heater, which is quite small and compact, and that's the beauty of this unit is its size, and I think it's going to be a fairly straightforward installation. As you can see, the bracket that comes with it, it sits on the bracket like that, goes up against the bulkhead. The other pieces that we have is the whole harness, the wiring harness with the plugs, power, control plug for the thermostat. We have the fuel pump. We have the part that goes through the hull for the exhaust that connects to this beautifully insulated pipe, as you can see here. The other bits and pieces we have is the inlet where the fresh air comes into the unit. So this will come over here. Oh, it goes this way. Hose clamp it on. There's a silencer in here so you don't get much noise. Fuel lines, 2 pieces of fuel line. The bottom of the exhaust, so this fits onto the bottom of the heater, and then the exhaust connects to the bottom of that. So it's all seems like a fairly straightforward installation. I've had a good chat to the guys at Heatso in California who briefed me and supplied me with everything. The next part of the project is to install the pickup line or the pickup point for the diesel, for the fuel. The instructions call for a 1-inch or 25 millimeter hole in the top of the aluminum tank. So what I thought I'd do is do a test piece, grab a piece of 1/8 aluminum sheet, drill with my hole saw, and see how it fits. And it was easy to get it in. Here you can see what it looks like underneath. So that's the little sort of plate that you jimmy in there, move it side to side and drop the plate in. And that then attaches to the top with a rubber washer, with a washer, a metal washer, and then the actual nut. So that's what keeps it in position. All seems to work nicely. Here I'm cutting the hole in the tank with my hole saw and fitting the actual pickup piece. I was lucky I could access the tank through the locker, and it worked beautifully and safely and a secure way to get to the access cock. I covered it up with a plywood cover. Here you can see the fuel line coming through the bulkhead to where I'm going to mount the heater. Here I'm drilling the hole in the top side in the hull for the exhaust fitting. Fitting fits nicely, and make sure it's the right way up, and then mark where you want to put your fasteners. So I've got the flange with the exhaust fitting nicely bolted down to the hull on the inside, about as high as I can go, and I'm a good 13 inches above the waterline, so I should be good. So this shows you the general layout of the installation with the exhaust pipe going up into a locker above it to give me a nice swan neck, and also another picture of the hole where the hot air duct goes through. This is where it comes out in the cabin or into the locker, and then through the locker into the cabin. Here is the electrical work, a good couple of views of the fuse box, and then also the 12-volt power supply that comes from the harness and goes to the panel. So this is where the duct comes out, and this is where we get the hot air from our Espar heater, which comes from behind us in the lazarette through this door down below, and has its own space, lots of fresh air, not contaminated by the engine room, which is down here. This is a Grand Banks 32, so, you know, space is at a bit of a premium, but I think I've figured it out. And what I also showed you was the tank was down here. That's where I accessed the diesel tank. And then, of course, the wiring comes through and then accesses the panel over here. What I did was I mounted my control panel for the Espar heater right here next to the refrigerator. So a nice clear spot to look at, access, and see what's going on. It was a little bit of a mission to run the wire, but really well worth it. So this is my mounting position for the Espar heater. It's in my lazarette, and it's on a forward bulkhead. Obviously the bulkhead on the other side is the engine room, but this has got its own breathability, a good space. There's no contamination from exhaust fumes, so the heater gets its fresh air from this little unit here, which is a silenced intake pipe, so you don't really hear the air going in. I've used the stainless steel bracket that comes with the heater, and you can see I've bolted it to the plywood bulkhead. This is the inlet side, and that's the outlet side, so that's the pipe that goes to the cabin, and I will show you that in a little while, the way that's all set up. Here you see the hot air duct coming next to the exhaust pipe in the engine room, up into the locker in the salon, and then I had to drill a hole in the teak, in the woodwork, to have access and get my fitting fitted where the hot air comes out of the pipe and into the salon. At the end of the day, it all worked out nicely. I was very happy with the whole installation. As you can see here, really nice stainless steel clamps and fixtures from Espar. Here is the exhaust with the drain for a little bit of fluid that will, you know, may come through condensation, so it just automatically drips down and ends up in the bilge. Here we have the fuel pump, and the fuel pump can be mounted in this position, like I have vertical and, you know, all the way to 45, but ideally I just think why not just go with it straight up and down. This is the power coming from the harness to supply power to the fuel pump. I could have shortened that. That's the only wire you can shorten in the whole harness because of resistors and other bits of electronic equipment in the wire, so don't shorten anything else, only the power to the diesel pump if you want to, but I just figured I'll leave it the way it is. Also a nice plug here, which is waterproof with rubber O-rings to connect the harness and the wire coming from the controller from the battery to the actual heating unit. Here you can see the fuel line, which is a marine grade rubber fuel line, super good with beautiful stainless steel clamps, so very secure and safe. As you can see, I have mounted the wires to the bulkhead. I have mounted the piping for the diesel supply line to the bulkhead, that there's no vibration or movement, and that it's always steady and there's no chafe. You can see the way that the pipe goes up and through the bulkhead in a hole that I drilled, and that goes straight to the tank. And the tank is literally about a foot away, so the fuel line on the side between the tank and the pump should not exceed 6 feet. But where it comes out of the pump, or on the pressure side, to the actual heater itself can be as long as 18 feet. Obviously I didn't need that, and everything is so nice and close. As you can see here, the exhaust comes out of the manifold on the bottom of the heater, and it goes up. This is a stainless pipe, and it's got fiberglass material insulating it, and another stainless pipe, and then a covering which keeps it super safe. Good, again, stainless steel clamps. And the pipe goes up,
And what I want to make sure is that I have at least 12 inches above the waterline, which I have. And then there's a nice swan neck that goes up and down and out, and you can see the fitting over there as it goes out through the hull on the top side. So don't get confused with top side, meaning the deck. It's actually the hull just above the waterline. So again, I have at least 12 inches above the waterline, so when the boat rolls, we don't get any water coming in. And if it does, it can't go anywhere, because it ends up going up a ways, and before it goes 12 inches, another 12 inches up, and we've got to have some serious problems. So that's all set. I have fired it up and it runs beautifully, and I feel I've followed the rules and thought I'd just share this with you and show you how I've done the whole thing. It wasn't a very complex job at all. The parts are beautifully made in typical European fashion, and the design is nice and it works like a gem. So I hope that this layout gives you a bit of an idea of how I've done it and will help you in your installation.
This is Anne van Wall signing off in a nice warm cabin supplied by an Espar heater. Thanks for watching.